Welcome to the Ohio Huntsman Podcast with your hosts, Jason, Jacob, and Jeff. Today we're going to be talking about new things out of SHOT Show. SHOT Show just happened a week ago when we're recording this. It'll be a couple of weeks when this actually releases. Do you guys have any updates from the field this week?
I don't. I've got nothing going on. Haven't really done much in the woods, unfortunately.
I'm on the same boat. I have neglected my duties of an outdoorsman. I have not been outdoors. I really have nothing since the last episode when I pulled my trail camera and saw what was out at the farm out on the east side of the state. Haven't been in the woods, don't have any cameras out right now, so I don't really have anything going.
All right. Well, I have some exciting news. If you guys listened to our last episode, I've been tracking a black squirrel to complete my Ohio Squirrel Grand Slam.
You have?
Yeah, I've been tracking, and I've been trying to find one, and it disappeared. The black squirrels disappeared from the woodlot that I was hunting. I got news from the neighbor that he had seen one. So there is still at least one around.
Okay.
And that's exciting for me.
This is something that you just talk about with your neighbors? Like, hey, you seen any black squirrels recently? Or how did that come up?
They volunteered the information, actually, because we were just chatting, and they said, you seen any turkey, you seen any of this, seen any of that? And they said, the other day we saw a black squirrel, and we thought that was pretty cool.
He said, I've been listening to your guys' podcast, and I heard that you're on the hunt for a black squirrel.
I almost wondered if he had been.
Is this the same neighbor that runs his dogs across your property and scares your deer away?
Yeah,
Because that should be your next conversation.
Well, I mean, he's a cool guy, and it happens, But yeah, same guy. And that's actually how I ran into him. Was I was in the woods squirrel hunting, so maybe that's why he told me about the black squirrel.
Oh, okay.
But I was in the woods squirrel hunting, and he came walking through the woods. So I, went up to him. We were chatting it up about this and that, and said, yesterday, I saw a black squirrel. And I said, you did?
Funny you mentioned that.
Yeah. I didn't tell him that I'm planning to shoot it.
Should have said, funny you mentioned that. Which tree was he in?
Oh, well, that's good. I guess this is an update from the field. We've got some exciting Ohio Huntsman news where we are actually in the process of testing some new deer feed from an Ohio company. So pretty excited about that. We've got high hopes. We're doing some product testing on it.
Yeah,
currently
it seems like a really nice product, really good product from a really good company. So we're excited about it.
Yeah.
So we'll keep you posted on that.
Yeah. All right. Well, like Jeff mentioned, we're going to talk about SHOT Show this week. We've got a few things. I'm sure if you followed the news at all about SHOT Show or paid attention to any of that, the big things, this is going to be, because SHOT Show is everything firearms related, so there's tons of AR-15 stuff and tactical stuff, and that, we're a hunting podcast, so we're going to talk about things that we saw from SHOT Show that are interesting from an Ohio huntsman standpoint, an Ohio hunter, things that you might use hunting, things that we thought were interesting. So, things like the new Winchester 350 Legend round, the new straight-walled cartridge from Winchester, the Shorty shells that we saw from Federal. We're also going to talk about some of the new rifle options for like 450 Bushmaster, also the 350 Legend rounds. And this wasn't announced at SHOT Show. I think it was at the ATA show, but Primos has a new one of that surround view material. They've got a new blind with that surround view material. So we're going to talk about that, what we like, some of our thoughts on that. So where do you guys want to start?
Well, let's start with the hot topic here.
The hot topic.
Because everybody's interested in the 350 Legend.
Yeah.
That's hot right now. People are really excited.
Rightfully so, I would say. So if you haven't heard, Winchester has come out with a new straight-walled rifle cartridge. They're calling it the Winchester 350 Legend. It's basically a rimless cartridge, a 223 case, but instead of being necked down to a 22 caliber diameter, it's straight walled all the way through, and essentially takes a 357 bullet, right? Am I getting that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Jeff, I'm hoping that you've got some of the claims, because as we're talking about this, I realized I forgot to write them down, but they're making some pretty impressive claims. Like
the biggest claim is that it's the fastest straight-walled cartridge.
Right. It's got more energy than a 30-30 and a 300 blackout or something, with less recoil than a 243.
Yeah. It basically what they're saying is that it is faster and has more energy than any other straight-walled cartridge, with noticeably less recoil than any other, with I heard someone describe it as comparable to a 44 Magnum.
Oh, okay.
In recoil, felt recoil.
So they're sort of selling it as like the straight-walled cartridge to end all straight-wall cartridges, right? I mean, like the some of the nice things about it is most of your straight-walled cartridges today are a rimmed cartridge, meaning the rim diameter on the head of the case is larger than the case diameter. That means most of those rounds need to be run in a lever-action gun, a single shot.
Yeah, a non-auto loading gun.
Right. So this is like I said, it's basically a 223, but just doesn't neck down. So it can easily be run in an auto-loading gun. That, I'm sure there'll be tons more offerings in as far as rifles, and I don't know. What I've seen so far is Winchester has a bolt-action rifle that shoots this round, and at SHOT Show, CMMG, which is more of an AR-15 company, is coming out with an AR-15 platform chambered in 350 Legend. They're selling the complete rifle. They're going to sell the assembled upper. So if you already have an AR-15, the upper will go right onto your existing AR-15 lower. From what I saw, you do need different magazines. They had to do some work on the magazines to get them to feed properly. But you can buy... The impression I got was they're going to sell the uppers, and I'm sure you can buy the magazines. Yeah. Or if you want to do a complete build, if you're an AR-15 guy and you like building AR-15s, they're going to sell just the barrels, because essentially the rest of the parts are standard AR-15 parts other than the magazine. So you would buy a barrel, a 350 Legend barrel, and a 350 Legend magazine, and you would have, then you could buy whatever other AR-15 pleasantries you're into, and build your own AR-15 chambered in 350 Legend. Anything else on that? What do you guys think about that?
One important caveat about this is that it's being marketed as the bullet diameter of being .357, which is the smallest legal diameter to hunt deer in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
But I've heard on some gun blogs that when they actually release the specs of the ammunition, like the range to gunsmiths and ammo manufacturers, they list the range as being .355 to .357.
Oh, okay.
So potentially this gun could be both legal and illegal to use on deer in Ohio based on who's making the ammunition. And now I doubt a game warden's going to carry around a caliper to, get you on a 1,000th of an inch or 2,000ths of an inch. But that is something to pay attention to. If I had to guess, I'm going to assume that Ohio will rewrite the laws, if that's the case, to basically include this cartridge and exclude other smaller cartridges.
Right.
I think the real worry is they want to exclude 9mm.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully they can, if they can clear up the gray area, right, by changing the wording to where this 350 Legend cartridge is allowed, then, that would, I'm hoping, I'm with you, I'm hoping that's where they go with it, and it clears up any kind of potential gray area or somebody getting busted over a few thousandths of an inch, you know?
Right. And also, this is just word of mouth on some gun blogs, so it may not, be the case.
Right.
From the little bit I kind of read and followed, it looked like Winchester was holding it pretty tight to the vest. So, like, all the details and all that, because I think they wanted to be one of the only, if not the only, to offer a gun chambered in it. Later in the week at SHOT Show, like you said, CMMG came out with announced their AR, but I think that was, as far as I know right now, that's the only two that are, I'm sure that's going to change.
Yeah.
Now.
Very
quickly.
quickly.
But at this point, those are the only options.
Well, and it made sense for Winchester to work with a company that is basically primarily an AR-15 company, because Winchester's not an AR-15 company, right? But it gives some more excitement around an adoption around their new cartridge.
Right. Especially because it's the only, like you said, the only straight-walled cartridge at this point that's going to be able to be used in a semi-auto.
Yeah.
The 450 Bushmaster can be used, but that is about the only other one.
But there's a bolt action 450 Bushmasters, but that's pretty much all I see, right?
They sell ARs. there's...
Oh, they do?
Yeah, it's just...
I looked at the CMMG website, and they have a 450 Bushmaster.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I haven't looked into it.
It's not super popular, though, really, to hunt, at least in Ohio right now. The 450 Bushmaster was originally designed for hog hunting.
Okay.
And I think those hog hunters, in Georgia and stuff, they like it in the AR platform.
Yeah.
But it hasn't really caught on in Ohio as much.
Okay.
I'll be interested to see, too, what Ohio does with their max rounds. Because I know that was an issue, a point of contention, I guess, with, like, these new straight-walled cartridges. There's no way to really plug them like you do a shotgun.
Right.
So it's still your 3-round maximum, but are people following that? Are they not? Now if you're starting to talk semi-auto with a magazine, I could see there being a lot of contention about, these guys are going to be putting 20 rounds in, and how do we regulate that?
Yeah, maybe increase the penalties, or maybe make a stipulation where, you can only have 3 in your gun, and also you can only have a max capacity of X number of rounds, 5 rounds,
Yeah, it wouldn't be hard, I would say, to write a rule that if it's a detachable magazine or something, right, you can only have a 3-round magazine or something. A lot of bolt actions that you get a 3 or a 5-round magazine or something in those bolt action rifles, and that's what you get.
Yeah.
Okay. So, a lot of excitement there. I'm excited about that new round. It's exciting. I was impressed that Winchester kept it under wraps as well as they did. I hadn't read or heard anything about it until basically they announced it at SHOT Show.
Yeah.
You had sent, was that like a day or two before there was a magazine cover?
Yes, a magazine. I can't remember which one.
Yeah, some shooting magazine, reloading kind of.
The front cover of it, you know, because it's very big news.
Right. Yeah, I saw some videos because they've been doing some testing. Like I saw some videos with the Drury team. I forget what it was, but they said this is the first new round they've come out with in some. It's been a long time since Winchester's come out with a new round like this, so it was a big deal. Now granted, it's promo video, promo product, working with the Drurys, but they were dropping bucks in their tracks with this thing, so it was pretty impressive sort of highlight reel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if, like I said, if the ballistics and everything are what they're advertising it as, it, I don't want to overstep, but it really could be a round to end all deer hunting in Ohio rounds. It's the round potentially for deer hunting in Ohio.
Yeah, I
think
think
because it's
not to end all deer hunting, but maybe
Right.
end the caliber debate sort of
Right.
thing, if you will.
Right. I mean, right. Because right now it's kind of like 4570 versus 450 Bushmaster. It's like, what's the preference? What do people like? And they,
Right.
people have put,
Or do you just stick with your 12 gauge?
right.
Yeah.
Or you stick with your, 12 gauge shooting the Sabos. I know
There we go.
On a previous podcast, we had this discussion of which way that's pronounced. But yeah, I mean, ballistically, it really, because you're getting, like, if we don't have the specifics written out here, but if you look into it, it's all over the internet. You're getting ballistics of neck down cartridges out of this with much less recoil.
Yeah.
And it's, the other thing I did read is they're marketing it, as like a 200 yard and under. Not that it can't shoot further than that, but
Sure.
which again leads right into Ohio deer hunting. You don't have 500 yard shots
Right.
99.9% of the time.
Right.
in
In
Ohio.
most cases, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some big farm fields that you can.
Right.
That's not to say that you can't, but yeah.
Yeah, I think 450 Bushmaster, is really threatened by this.
Yeah.
I think this is, if it's everything it's claimed to be, it could very easily turn 450 Bushmaster into an obscure round
Yeah.
because it's supposed to be better, cheaper. I
That
saw
was the
some
other
of
thing,
the
yeah.
price. Yeah, they're talking like $9 for a box of 20.
Yeah. That was
Which-
for the
It was for
the practice, right? Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
full metal jackets,
Yeah.
whatever.
but I think even like the hollow points might have been like 12 or 13.
Yeah, but not. Yeah, I was like, what?
Yeah.
That's significantly cheaper than what's on the market currently.
And another thing that wasn't super big in their advertisement, but was mentioned a few places, was that it's supposed to be significantly quieter than a 450 Bushmaster. Most people who have shot the round or been around someone who has shot the round know it's pretty loud. It's, just as loud, if not louder, than a 4570.
Well, and I think at least most of the people shooting the 450 Bushmaster are shooting the Ruger American bolt action that's got that big muzzle brake on it, and muzzle brakes just make guns loud, and that's what I've heard is to try to tame the recoil of that round. They put that muzzle brake on there, but now the thing, kind of makes you deaf.
Roars.
Yeah.
I actually, when I was just doing a little bit of research before we turned the podcast on, I saw that there's in the 350 Legend, they're making a subsonic round.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with a heavier bullet, but it's a subsonic. I don't remember the exact. I think it was a 285 grain subsonic
Mm-hmm.
round versus the other ones. I think the normal ones were like 180 grain, 170 grain, somewhere in there.
Okay.
But yeah, I did see that. It was that they're in the works if it's not out yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, subsonic round.
That's cool. So it sounds like they're making a big push to hopefully have widespread adoption on this, and
Right.
and if it's as good as they're selling it to be, I think it will take off. But time will tell.
Yeah, only time will tell on that.
Yep. All right. So what do we want to get into next?
I would say the next thing that kind of probably ties best into hunting in Ohio, I guess, or hunting in general, is those Shorty rounds. They're pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I think those kind of have a practical use in some places for hunting. So we
Yeah.
could.
Do you want to explain what those are?
Um,
Jason, do you want to
Jason can explain.
You
No,
probably did more research.
Yeah. Basically, from what I read about them, which I'll be the first to say was just basically just reading articles on the internet. It's a short.
I mean, isn't that how everybody does their
I
research?
guess, yeah. These days, yeah. Ask Google. But it's a shorty round, but it's a shorter shotgun round. I think
Your
it was
standard shotgun round's a 2 and 3/4.
Yeah, and this was a 1 and
1 and 3/4.
1 and 3/4, so it's an inch shorter.
Yeah.
But they're saying ballistically that it performs pretty similar to a 2 and 3/4. I'm not exactly sure.
And I think that's the news, right? Because shorty rounds aren't new, right? People have
Right.
made shorty rounds before, but again, some of the claims from Federal are that this thing delivers the same performance as a standard 2 3/4 shell.
Right. The drop off in ballistics is insignificant, which the benefit now of having shorter shells is you can fit more rounds in your gun. You can do a lot of different things with these Shorty rounds.
But the weird thing is, so I saw that's the benefit, right? That, you know, you put a bunch of these in your gun, or, you know, maybe for home defense or something, you can fit a bunch of ammo in your gun. But I saw a video from Outdoor Life saying that Federal doesn't recommend you running these in semi-automatic guns because the gun industry isn't there yet, or something like that. And so it's probably an adoption thing, right? Like, they've not designed guns to run 1 3/4 inch shells, but maybe if there's enough market demand, they'll make it to where these things will run.
Right. The other company that makes short shotgun or shells pretty regularly is Aguila.
Mm-hmm.
They have, what are they called? Mini shots, I think is what they're called.
Okay.
And because of those being on the market, there are aftermarket adapters you can buy to make your pump cycle them. I think it just kind of shortens the chamber area, like the I don't know, gun, you know, the word for the gun part, but it kind of shortens it so that there's less stroke there to pull back, because I think the big problem is double feeding. Instead of pulling one shell out of the tube, it pulls two. Two come out because
it probably pulls one and another one might fall out.
Right.
Yeah. The gun's held up, pointing.
Because what stops that next one from coming out is the gun itself.
Yeah.
So it needs that extra room, especially if you're, the gun is chambered for a 3-inch
or a 3.5.
3.5. Yeah. There's extra room, so two come out. It double feeds.
Yeah.
And then with Aguilas, the big problem is they're completely not compatible with autoloaders. There's not enough chamber pressure to
cycle the action.
So basically the big argument here, the big exciting news is that these are supposed to be just like Aguilas, but have much better performance.
Okay.
We'll have to see. Time will tell on that.
Yeah.
If it's just Federal coming out with something that Aguila's already done and basically made the same thing, just with the Federal name, a more trusted name, or if it's actually what they're saying.
Yeah. And they're offering it in a couple different configurations, right? They're offering it in a shot shell. They claim they're going to have rifled slugs for it.
Rifled slugs, yep.
And then was there another one?
Buckshot.
That's right.
I think number 9 buck. If I'm I could be wrong, but I think it's 9 buck.
Okay.
And I think the shot shells are 8 shot.
Okay. So there again, another one that is kind of interesting. Could have application from a home defense or from because they are offering slugs and things like that. You could do some hunting with these potentially.
Yeah, I think the main hunting application would be either with the shot shells, hunting squirrel or
doves,
quail. Especially I think doves really, because a lot of times with dove hunting, it can get pretty hot and heavy real fast.
Yeah,
and having those couple extra rounds before you have to reload can be really great. So
yeah,
I think that would be one of the best applications.
And I would imagine they're gonna have to have a somewhat smaller payload, right? So maybe from a small game, like a small-sized small game standpoint, you stand less of a chance of just completely filling the meat with shot. Right.
Yeah, and what I've seen with the Aguila mini shells is in some of the testing I've seen on those is that they're pretty comparable to a 410 in both power and payload.
Okay.
So with this, they're saying that the payload may be a little less, but the power is supposed to be still there.
Right. Okay.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
And we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah.
And potentially just the pattern size could be better with this compared to a 410. You could get a better pattern with your shot.
Sure.
Even if it's not better payload or velocity, you may be able to pattern better out of a 12 gauge than with a 410.
Right. Okay. Okay. Well, should we move on to the next one?
Yeah.
I guess briefly we'll mention, because it's another exciting news. It sort of is in the shadow of the 350 Legend, but Mossberg came out with a new, well, not a new bolt action rifle, but a bolt action chambered in 450 Bushmaster. So people that like 450 Bushmaster are looking at getting a 450 Bushmaster. You've got another option out there, and I want to say they're going to be a little cheaper than the Rugers.
This is actually kind of interesting because Mossberg actually launched this gun and started shipping it to stores before they ever announced it.
Oh,
so
really?
Stores
I hadn't read that.
We're getting this gun, and they hadn't announced that it even existed.
Okay.
They didn't announce it till SHOT Show, but they actually released it back in December.
Oh, okay.
So they're on the market now. You can buy one now. The MSRP is I believe it's $450, but right now, if you go looking and look hard enough, you can get them for under $350 right now.
Wow. Okay.
So the price is pretty significantly lower.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about how good of a gun it is yet or anything, but it was kind of interesting how they launched it because they just started shipping
sending them. Yeah, that's interesting. Not hunting related, but Mossberg related. They also announced a new handgun that they came out with at SHOT Show, which is, again, that was another one that's, they haven't had I guess apparently they've had handguns in the past. I'm not up on Mossberg firearm history, but they've had a handgun, but this was their first handgun in quite some number of years, I think. So that was exciting news for them.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't read much about it or heard much about it, but still exciting, interesting news. Hopefully it fares better than some of the Remington handguns that have come out in recent past. As another kind of brand that's more of a hunting brand, if you will, than a military or tactical brand, but we shall see. Time will tell. All right, so where should we go from here? What are you guys liking?
Well, this is kind of a small piece of exciting news, is that Remington is going to start manufacturing their hog hammer rounds in a couple of straight-walled cartridges. Probably the most exciting one is the 4570 for Ohio hunters. Although it's called a hog hammer, it's perfectly suited to hunting deer.
What is, because I'm not familiar with their hog hammer rounds, what is that one of it's bullet technology, or?
It's a brand name for, it was specifically designed for hog hunting.
Sure.
It's a copper solid bullet.
Okay.
Which is kind of one of the exciting things because some guys don't like using lead rounds for various reasons. Environmental reasons to health reasons. They're worried about the lead contaminating the meat. Some people just prefer, the expansion of a copper round over a lead. But they're starting to make the hog hammer. The ones I can remember off the top of my head were the 4570, 44 Magnum, 357, 10 millimeter.
Okay.
So a lot of the traditional straight-walled cartridges that people are using, they'll have another option for a copper solid bullet, which is hard to find in a lot of those calibers.
Yeah. That's cool. That's exciting. All right. I'll Jake, do you have one or?
No,
right.
You can go on. Keep going down your list.
So, one that I saw in doing research for this, it wasn't actually announced at SHOT Show, and it's not entirely new, but Primos makes what they call their surround view blinds, which was a big deal last year at the ATA show, which is, if you're not familiar with it, it's a blind made out of think of like one-way glass, if you will. It's camo blind material on the outside, but when you sit inside of it, you can see through all of it, right? So instead of sitting in a blind that has black walls other than the few little windows that you look out, you're sort of sitting... I've not sat in one, but the videos and stuff I've seen, it's like it's an invisibility cloak, right? It's like you're sitting inside and can see everything outside, but nothing can see you inside. So at ATA this year, so those up to this point have all been fully, your standard kind of fully enclosed blind. This year they came out with, I think they're calling it their Stakeout blind. So it's like 3 panels that you would put out in front of you. What I could see is like for a run and gun turkey setup, if you're wanting to hunt them with a compound bow and you need to hide that draw cycle, or taking kids out, right, that aren't going to sit as still, they can sit behind this surround view blind material and move around more and not get seen by the turkeys, but still, hopefully have some success.
And this material is shoot through, I'm assuming?
It still has windows in it.
Okay.
I don't think it's designed to be shot through in every angle. I still think you have the limitations of
still shooting
through the windows, but you can see things coming from every direction, basically.
Okay.
So my impression, if I remember correctly, it's got some metal framing in it to kind of make those panels pop and make them rigid then, and then you kind of stake it out in front of you. It comes with a carrying bag. I want to say that all total, it's like 4 pounds for these 3 panels and everything, which isn't bad. I mean, it's 4 more pounds to carry around, but like I said, if you're taking a kid out, or you like hunting turkeys with a compound bow, maybe that's a great option, because it gives you that sort of, like you said, you can hide that movement but still see everything. Mm-hmm. So wasn't a SHOT Show thing. It was more of an ATA thing, but I thought it fit with this discussion today. So what else do you guys got?
The other thing that I guess Jeff and I were talking about before we got started here isn't necessarily new for SHOT Show this year, but it's kind of, I think it came out it's a turkey load. I think it was a big craze last year, but now some more details of it and a little bit more availability of it.
Yeah, more manufacturers
are making the new tungsten turkey load.
Okay.
Browning, I believe, had it last year. They came out with it. They kind of came out with it first, and it was such a hit last year from what I was seeing that guys couldn't even get it. It was sold out pretty much instantly. Mm-hmm. So there's not a whole lot of anecdotal evidence, as much as could be, because guys couldn't get their hands on it. But the idea behind it is tungsten is a denser metal than your lead shot. So the idea is you could get equal or more penetration with smaller shot. So what I saw, I think, was that like a 5 shot in lead is equal to like a 7 or 8 shot in this tungsten.
Okay.
So you're going to get more BBs out there at the animal, but get similar penetration, similar results. So for turkey hunting, that gives you, a little bit more BBs, which the idea is with turkey hunting is to get as many BBs on target as possible.
Yeah.
So if you have more, that's going to up your odds of having success. So that's kind of that's interesting. It's new. I mean, like I said, not new specifically for SHOT Show, but it's more available. More manufacturers are making it. So I think it's going to be something that more guys are going to get into this turkey season. I will put a caveat out there. The price on these is very expensive in my mind.
Yeah.
I don't, I think Jeff just showed me before we got started here that it's somewhere in the realm of like $60 for a box of these things.
A box of 5.
Box of 5 shots.
So we're talking over $10 a round.
Yeah.
Which seems outrageous, but hopefully...
You just need one.
Right.
Yeah. Hopefully you just need one.
And if it makes that big of a difference performance-wise, I mean, if it's the difference of blasting a tom and it flopping down and then standing up and walking away versus it not standing up, I mean, it might be worth it. I mean, I don't know.
You've got that much in arrows.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can reuse an arrow more than once, but there's times where you don't, or you
Right.
lose it, or
Absolutely, right.
So
Yeah, I mean, there's times you got that much, in your shaft, and then the broadhead's another,
easily,
right,
Yeah, easy.
right. You got $10 in a broadhead, you got
right,
$10 in an arrow, if you got lighted nocks, you got money there. It's you got a lot of money in an arrow,
right. If you refletch your arrows, that's even,
right?
yeah,
And
So
it's all good if it does, if it knocks that turkey over and that turkey can't get away, that's all good, because I started turkey hunting, kind of me and our dad started learning how to turkey hunt together.
yeah,
Back in the early 2000s when Ohio's turkey population really got up there, popularity went up. I was 10, 12 years old.
like, Dad, we should try this.
Yeah. And basically, because he had someone to go with him, it was, let's do it.
Yeah,
And we made a lot of mistakes using, underpowered rounds. I mean, I was using a 20 gauge.
yeah,
So yeah, using underpowered rounds, and obviously just all your new turkey hunter calling mistakes. But I had a lot of turkeys taking too far shots, but
Mhm.
I think I had three turkey that the first 3 turkeys I shot, I never got.
yeah,
I shot them, they flopped around, and we were hunting in our cabin in Southern Ohio, Wayne National Forest, and they would take off across the hills. We were up on hilltops. They'd take off, and just throw their wings out and soar across the hollow, and we'd
Gone.
never find them,
Yeah.
whether they, died or we don't know. I mean, because we would search.
yeah.
So,
Not a lot of blood in a turkey.
yeah, and to prevent that issue, that's
Yeah.
a lot. I mean,
And-
the other thing is, we kind of didn't know. When you shoot a deer, you shoot a deer and let it run away and bleed out or whatever.
Right.
Where a turkey, what you really should do is shoot it and then run and get it.
Yeah.
Get your hands on it, because the thing will fly or, it'll get away on you.
Well,
And
like
it's
you
hard
said,
to find a turkey once it's run away.
especially in hill country, it's all they got to do is open their wings and
They could be a mile away.
that seems an exaggeration, but clear on the other side of the
Right.
hollow, right? I mean, with no
Right.
blood trail to follow,
Right.
it went over there somewhere, right? It's not going to leave a big running track like a deer. It's like
Right.
I don't know. That
Well,
turkey's
people
gone.
say, oh, turkey don't fly, or they fly very minimally. But like you said, down in hill country, it's not even flying. They literally just jump and then put their wings out and they just soar.
Yeah.
So they're not flying, but they can cover a lot of ground without flapping their wings a single time.
Right.
Yeah. And also, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but down at the cabin in hill country, the turkeys are always at the very top of the hill.
Mm-hmm.
You always run into them at the very peak. That's where they're at. So they're always set up to do that.
Yeah.
I very rarely run into them down the hill. They're always up at the top.
Yep. So more options, more ammo options is always good. We'll, like I said, hopefully, if it becomes sort of the standard, this tungsten loads for turkeys becomes the standard. Hopefully, the price comes down, or there's lower priced options. I know the Winchester Longbeard XR, when that stuff came out, right? It was You had to mortgage your house for it. But I think it's still expensive, but I think the price has come down a little bit on that. So, and the other nice thing is some of these, what I'll call quote unquote more engineered rounds for turkey, right? You can use a 20 gauge with some of these loads that they're holding a super tight pattern, and you can get out there and get enough pellets on target to use a 20 gauge. So more options is good.
Yeah. On a side note, have you guys seen these gobbler guillotine arrowheads?
Broadheads?
Yeah. Yeah, you guys seen those?
They've been out for a while.
Yeah. But they came out, and I remember as a kid, like, them being popular, and they were on all the
videos just cleaving their heads clean off.
Yeah. I mean, because the idea of the broadhead is to decapitate the turkey.
Right. It's like a 4-inch broadhead or something, or it's something huge.
But I've been seeing them again now.
Okay.
Now that people are starting to prepare for turkey season.
Yeah.
But I also saw on the internet some guy hunting geese with them.
Oh, really?
Like off of a golf course. And thought that was cool, because it's basically, pretty similar.
Yeah.
And yeah, that one was cool because the geese weren't as intelligent about it.
Yeah.
So he could get a couple.
Yeah.
So
especially golf course geese.
Right. Yeah. I just thought that was a interesting little side note.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I didn't have anything else. Do you guys have any other things from SHOT Show you wanted to cover, talk about? Thoughts? Anything you saw that was cool?
The only thing, and I don't have a lot of details on it, I just know we had posted it on the social, is there's a new, I don't even know how to call it. It's the ATF's not even sure how to classify it really, but it's like a.
Oh yeah.
I believe it's
not an air rifle.
It's a non-ATF item, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, the ATF officially classified it as a muzzleloader,
right?
But it's like I guess it's like a gun that can shoot arrows. I guess it's hard to explain exactly what it is.
There's been on the market air guns that shoot arrows, full-size arrows. It's very similar to that, except this shoots is it a 22 caliber?
I think it's a 22
blank
or something along those lines. So it's not an air gun that uses compressed air. It shoots a blank or a cap, so to speak.
Yeah. That
then causes combustion that then blows the arrow out. So I think that's why they classified it as a muzzleloader, because you load it one arrow at a time, so to speak. The claims that I was reading said that it actually pulls the arrow, not pushes the arrow.
Well, that's with all because the way they work is, your bow pushes an arrow from the back. These things, even the air rifles I've seen, there's an air tube that goes inside the arrow shaft, and that air is instead of pushing it on the back of the arrow, it's basically pushing it right behind the broadhead or the field tip. It's not really pulling. I mean, I guess initially, right, the rest of the arrow is behind where the force is being applied. I think that's kind of more of a marketing kind of like. That makes more
sense. I'm thinking
it pulls it so it's more accurate.
Right. It's just pushing it from the front, from inside the tube.
Yes.
Therefore, it's not causing the tail spin or whatever they say can come with a.
Yeah, you don't get that like shaft flex and things that you would by pushing it from the rear.
But anyhow, it's kind of a cool little gimmicky. I don't say gimmicky necessarily. I mean, it's a real thing, but I'm not sure. Like in the post we mentioned, I don't know what they're going to do with it regulation wise.
Yeah.
If states are going to allow it, are they not going to allow it? Are they going to classify it like they do the air guns? Is it, what season is it going to be able to be used in?
What I've seen on, some online lawyering here is the way that Ohio's laws are written right now, this would technically be a legal firearm. It would be a muzzleloader.
Yeah.
The way the law is right now, because
you could not use it during bow season as a crossbow.
Correct. It would be a firearm. But it would be a legal firearm because of the stipulations they have for muzzleloaders. It fits. is what I've heard.
And then my next question, again, caveat of it, my understanding is you can interchange pretty easily from shooting like a 22 bullet to this arrow.
It's like a barrel swap or something, if you will.
Swap, yeah. So
which the barrel is on the arrow, when it's shooting arrows, is, barrel's kind of a loose term in this sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So potentially, I mean, it could be, I don't know how much goes into that swap or how easy it is or what. But
Yeah.
I mean, potentially, I guess you could maybe even use it. Again, if it's used during muzzleloader season, then that's a little different. But if it were to be classified as an arrow, a bow, to use during archery season, I mean, that could possibly open up opportunity, to use it for small game and then swap the barrel out, you know what I mean? I don't know. Or if you use it with the bow, the arrow barrel, we'll call it. And then,
arrow configuration.
If you're covered up in small game in your tree stand, you could just swap it out. And I don't know.
Yeah. I think the real, it's not as interesting as from a hunting standpoint as it is as how it's going to give a lot of game agencies fits.
How are they going to handle it?
Because a lot of people are saying that Ohio's going to need to rewrite their law if they want to prevent it, because currently by what they're seeing with the law, it's legal.
Do you think, your guys' opinion, do you think they need to prevent it? If the ATF is classifying it as a muzzleloader and Ohio law says it's a muzzleloader,
in my mind, no. If it's restricted to muzzleloader season, I don't really see the interest in using it over a muzzleloader.
Right.
What becomes intriguing to me is people that would want to use it in place of a crossbow or a compound bow.
Use it during an archery season.
Season, because now you can get a lot more accuracy, distance, potentially.
Right.
Because what I saw the claims, they were saying, that it is lethal, accurate, up to like 100 yards.
Yeah.
Which, that's a whole new ball game when you're talking archery. So, I don't see why you would use it on top of or in place of a muzzleloader. You're not going to get the same distance as you would from a muzzleloader.
And see, that goes like this spawns a whole other conversation about archery ranges and things, but I just don't. An arrow isn't going to fly supersonic, so that a bow going off with an animal standing 100 yards away, there's a chance that animal doesn't hear the bow. They're going to hear a gunshot,
right?
And then a couple seconds later, here comes an arrow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, so.
Because I think what I was reading is it's not like it shoots these arrows at astronomical speeds. It's right around what
a
crossbow does right now. It's like in the 300 to 400 feet per second. It's not like it's a 700 feet per second,
right.
crazy.
So that's your fast compound bows, your crossbows.
Yeah, what I've heard that the big advantage this has over a crossbow or a compound bow for that matter is that the accuracy of it, because it is being propelled by the tip, by the field point or by the broadhead.
Yeah.
There's no flex. There's arrow flex, which makes it extremely accurate.
Yeah.
To the point where you're getting firearm accuracy out at 50, 75 yards.
Right.
Where with a crossbow, you can be pretty darn accurate, but it's not firearm accuracy.
Yeah, I would agree on the, if people want to use them during muzzleloader season, sure, I guess. I don't like it. I'm with you. Why would you use that instead of a muzzleloader? I wouldn't be in favor of allowing them during an archery season. I don't think it provides any benefit. It's not like it's a new opportunity that's going to attract people to the sport, to hunting.
Right. I mean, I would argue that it's even not doing any favors to the wildlife because, like you said, at 100 yards, that animal, I'd be hard-pressed to see an ethical shot at 100 yards with a bow.
Yeah.
Even if it's a firearm bow, that animal is going to move.
Well, and even just from a hunting pressure standpoint, right? People are in the woods with bows, but bow hunting doesn't, I would argue, doesn't put as much stress or pressure on. There's not gunshots going off in the woods.
Right.
Whereas, I mean, there's a gunshot involved with this. It's just pushing an arrow instead of a bullet. So, I would say no dice on allowing them for an archery season. I guess I wouldn't be opposed to using one during a muzzleloader season.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am. But again, like I previously stated, I just don't see the reason to use one.
Yeah.
I mean, you're handicapping yourself by using that over a muzzleloader, which I guess people do that all the time. I mean, they use traditional bows instead of compound bows, and compound bows instead of crossbows.
Your bow during muzzleloader season
right.
if you want.
Right.
You know.
I mean, I just don't see a real practical reason. I guess other than maybe like our previous episode where you're trying to hunt suburban and don't want to disturb your neighbor. A 22 would be quieter than a muzzleloader.
Yeah.
But that would be about the only, and that's stretching it. I mean, it's quieter than a muzzleloader. So if you're really worried about the sound, but I would limit it to muzzleloader season. I would not open it up to archery.
Yeah. If you're worried about noise in your muzzleloader season, you just get one of those Maxim 50s, those suppressed muzzleloaders.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing. I guess maybe we should, it's kind of at the end of the episode here. We're wrapping it up, but there's a lot of cool things that come out of SHOT Show, but we focused on things that were real to Ohio hunting primarily.
Yeah.
And we didn't get into there's a lot of really cool things that are really, really expensive that came out of SHOT Show.
Yeah.
There was suppressors, there was all kinds of stuff, but you're talking pretty high dollar items.
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw a thermal optic when I was scrolling through that was starting at $10,000, which is just outrageous to me. But,
right.
I mean, maybe there's people out there that can afford a thermal optic for $10,000, but
and maybe that's SHOT Show's everything, right? Maybe it's an agency that's doing night calling or something, and that makes sense for them. It's a business expense. I don't know. I don't see your.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure there's some guys that are into that and would spend $10,000. There's all kinds of people out there, so it makes this world exciting. But I would imagine that a $10,000 thermal sight is more for some sort of an agency that needs that. And SHOT is also military stuff, right? I mean, maybe it's a military application. Who knows? I don't know. I didn't look into it. I don't know what the details of that is, but
yeah. And I guess one more thing that's again kind of related. I don't know a whole lot of details on it. I just scrolled through, but it looked like Loophole came out with I'll do air quotes here, affordable red dot sight. Affordable in the sense of Loophole. I think the MSRP was like $299, and then if it had like a special reticle in it, it was $399. I think it's some sort of like a bullet drop compensator thing. I didn't look into it too much, but for Loophole, it's
just a standard red dot.
It's a standard red dot, but they have reticles specific to chamber. Like I said, I really just scrolled through it.
Oh, okay. It's got some kind of ballistic calculator built in.
Right.
Or not calculator, but like drop.
Right.
Compensating.
Some bullet drop compensating based on your ballistics. But
because I was thinking even for Loophole, seems like a lot of money for a red dot sight.
But no, it has some technology in it. Plus you get the Loophole backing on it, for life and whatever.
Because I think the Vortex Sparc is what, 99 or one? I don't know. That's like their sort of entry-level red dot.
But, I don't know. It was just something I saw the Loophole name on it, and then it was under $1,000. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. It's typically Loophole optics are very expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting premier top of the line stuff, but they're
Well, and the nice thing
typically
about,
pretty pricey.
like you said, the Loophole stuff and the Vortex stuff is that lifetime warranty, man. And I don't know, I think Loophole's this way, but I know Vortex is very much like sort of no questions asked. I backed over it with my truck, send it in. Well, like it's
Right.
I think they call it their VIP warranty, and it's sort of a no questions asked. If it broke, it burned up in a house fire, we'll get you another one sort of thing. Like they really stand behind that lifetime warranty. So, okay. Well, if there's nothing else, we'll wrap it up. If you guys, I will ask you a favor. If you're enjoying the show, if you like what you hear, when we release an episode, share that episode post to your page. That's a great way to get the word out and just sort of share the podcast. That helps us a lot with visibility and sort of our analytics and helping the show grow. So if you like the show, if you're enjoying the show, when we post a new episode, share it to your social pages. That would help us out a lot. We are Ohio Huntsman on Facebook. We're Ohio Huntsman Podcast on Instagram. You can follow us there. We're still selling our t-shirts. There'll be links to all of that in the show notes. If there's nothing else, I want to thank everybody for listening. Subscribe to the show. That way you're getting notified of new episodes. And we will talk to y'all next time.